On the 9th of September 2016, at around 10:50 p.m., a 911 call is made to the dispatcher.
Okay, 911. Okay, calm down. Where are you at?
The call cuts off suddenly.
She's pinging on Kenner at 2595, and she's extremely out of breath. She sounds like she's running.
Less than 5 minutes later, a police car arrives at the location where the call pinged. County Road 2595, somewhere in the vicinity of Royce City, Texas. A dirt path usually used by farmers to get to their fields. It's isolated, and right off the bat, one could wonder what the heck this woman is doing on that path, let alone at this late hour. Almost right away, a frantic woman comes up to the police car.
What's going on?
My husband, he went to go help me. My Jeep is stuck in the path around the corner, and he's been shot in the head, please.
She directs one of the officers towards the location where he lays in her car, and meanwhile, she is escorted to the back of the police car for cover, where she waits for the officer to return. When he does, she almost instantly starts talking and talking.
Miss Poynter.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I keep seeing his face in
Right.
my head. We've been having problems, and I was coming to meet him at the Jack in the Box so we could talk. When I went off the road, that's when I called him and I said, I need you to come help me. And he said, where are you? And I told him, I said, I'm on a dirt road. That's all I know. I don't know the numbers. And so I told him.
Breathe for me, Miss Poynter.
I'm
Calm
trying.
down and breathe for me, okay? Yeah, I got some questions. I'm trying to fill in some holes, okay?
Okay.
Have you ever been out here before?
No.
You've
I've never been out here before.
Only tonight, right now?
Yes.
Right now,
And
tonight?
yes.
Have you ever driven down this road before?
No.
Not by yourself or with anyone? Let me ask you this, okay? And I need to be honest with me, okay?
Okay.
Were you out here with anyone else other than...
No. I was out here by myself.
She even randomly talks about their relationship problems and about the fact that she was having an affair, which once again, very suspicious behavior.
I told him, yes, that I was, and he kept telling me the other day we could get past it. And he said that he could put it behind us.
Are you and Michael Garza dating or anything like that? Do y'all have a relationship?
Yes.
Did y'all have a date? Was it date night?
No, we just hung out. We had sex, obviously. Where he backed my Jeep out, he moved it about 10, 15 feet from where it was to make sure that it was going to be okay, and he was going to drive around the corner. And then there was someone saying, there was a loud shot. There was a man. There's a tall person. That's all I know.
Okay.
He was taller than me.
And what was he wearing?
Dark clothes is all I know.
Did you see any type of firearm, rifle, or anything like that in his hands?
No.
Her husband has just been shot in the head out of the blue on a deserted dirt path in the middle of the night in a county where there hasn't been any reported murders for years, which is weird enough, and here she is spoon-feeding the cops with a motive for murder in the form of an affair, alleged domestic abuse, and talk of divorce and the perspective of a custody battle for her daughter. So the cops find it all kind of fishy. Her husband is indeed found dead in her Jeep with a shotgun wound to the head. Her cell phone is found in a mud puddle, and she is brought into the police station for further questioning. On the way, she keeps blabbing and yapping. I don't know if she was aware that it was all being recorded by the policeman's body cam, but she sure as heck gave them a lot without them having to even ask a thing. She gets into the station and starts getting questioned by an investigator who isn't taking any of her crap, so to speak, and he lets her know that he's not buying her story. He grills her until she finally admits to knowing who did this to her husband and with what weapon. So slowly but surely, her story shifted. It went from, at first, her getting lost and stuck in the mud with her Jeep while on her way alone to meet up with her husband at Jack in the Box to get tacos and discuss their marital issues, Her then calling him to come and help her out, and him getting shot in the head by a random dude with a shotgun waiting in the bushes in the middle of the night for whatever reason, to a different version, which was her driving to that secluded location with her lover in the passenger seat, not knowing that he had a shotgun in the car, allegedly, of course, them pulling up to this dirt path and plotting to have her husband meet them there under the pretext of her Jeep having gotten stuck in the mud, so her lover could scare him into stop bullying her and make it look like a robbery. Right. And make what look like a robbery, if not a murder? What is she talking about? Well, she's halfway telling the truth and halfway lying, so she's mixing everything up and it's not making sense.
Michael was going to shoot Robert?
He was going to do it.
She also mentions that when her husband got there, he couldn't drive his truck all the way to the Jeep, so as she and her husband were walking over to where the Jeep was supposedly stuck in the mud, she noticed how he was wearing the cologne he had worn on their wedding day only, and thought it was touching, which prompted her to yell, "Stop!"
I said, "Stop!"
Who are you yelling stop to?
To Garza.
But why would you have shouted that way if this was just going to be a conversation between two men? Isn't that indicative that you shouted stop because that meant don't shoot him?
No. I didn't, at that point, I didn't want him to even talk to Robert. At that moment, sorry. At that time, there was a gunshot.
Robert was a well-loved person in the town of Royce. He had risen to the rank of captain at the fire station. He was kind-hearted and hardly ever lost his temper, according to everyone who knew him. He had been married to his high school sweetheart for 19 years and had 2 daughters with her before he was aggressively pursued by Chacey, who was 20 years old at the time, and who had decided that he was the one for her. He eventually ended his marriage to get with Chacey, and they got married and had a daughter of their own. Somewhere along the way, Chacey lost 100 pounds and began to feel more confident in her new body. She started going online to find guys to date and have extramarital relations with. She didn't care too much to hide it either. She would regularly leave her then 4 or 5-year-old daughter in the care of Robert's teenage daughter while she went out to meet with these men in the middle of the night. One of Robert's daughters, Nicole, eventually found out about her fooling around on Chacey's Facebook page that she had casually left opened. She told her father, who was extremely let down by this news, but he felt too invested to give up on this second marriage and didn't want to risk losing the custody of his young daughter, so he stayed in the marriage. He did, however, install a camera outside his house to catch Chacey if and when she did it again, and sure enough, he caught her on cam, chasing one of her lovers away when he rang the doorbell. Understandably infuriated, Robert was just about to throw in the towel, and he thought he'd give her another chance. He paid for a vacation in Mexico with the hopes that they would reconnect and fix their marriage. Instead, Chacey kept talking with her lovers over the phone throughout the vacation, and Robert noticed it. The day after they got back, he contacted a divorce lawyer and his mind was made up. He was going to file for divorce. He sent a message to his lawyer saying that he was going to surprise attack her with the divorce and selling the house and asking for full custody of their daughter. Somehow, Chacey got wind of this, and coincidentally the next day, so barely 2 days after their return from Mexico, Robert was dead. Just like in the previous story I covered of Rhonda Casto, which you should definitely watch if you haven't already, and I know most of you haven't because it has so few views, and it's a shame because it's a crazy story too. So go check it out after this one, of course. Anyway, once again, there was life insurance money to be had in the event of Robert's death. Bob had a $680,000 life insurance policy, in fact. I mean, he was a firefighter, so that's a risky job. Although Chacey was also working as a nurse aide and she had a cake making business on the side, which I don't know if it made her any money, but she heavily relied on Bob to entertain her high-maintenance lifestyle. Bob's colleagues remember her always wanting him to buy her nice and expensive things, including the Jeep in which he lost his life, by the way. And he was taking every shift he could and working his butt off to keep making her happy, as well as his daughters, who meant the world to him. He must not completely have trusted Chacey, at least at the time of their wedding, because he had her sign a prenup agreement, stating that in the event of their separation, she would get nothing. And although she had convinced him to make her the primary beneficiary on his will, he would no doubt change that if they were to get divorced. She would also lose her house and maybe even the full custody of her daughter. So what did Chacey do? Well, she decided it would be more in her interest to have him killed by one of her lovers and cash in on his insurance money. Of course. Investigators discovered a ton of messages between Chacey and her lovers. I think it's about 10,000. 10 freaking thousand. Can you believe this? This woman. She was telling them that she was the victim of domestic abuse and trying to get them to rid her of him. Most of them told her to get separated or call the police, the normal thing to do. But one of them, Michael Garza, was foolish and crazy enough to actually go through with it. It took only 2 hours of interrogation for Chacey on the night of the murder, either before or after this little slip up of hers right here, to rat him out and blame everything on him.
You shot Robert. Can you say that louder for me, please?
He had left town already. He was a truck driver. It was easy for him to pick up a new assignment and leave right then and there. However, within a couple of days, he presented himself to the police station where he was charged for Robert's murder. He immediately got himself a lawyer and refused to talk. 5 weeks later, a camo shotgun registered in his brother's name was found by a farmer close to where the murder took place. He was plowing his field and the shotgun came up with the soil. That was the piece of evidence missing to officially link Michael Garza to the crime. He then stated that he only provided her with the weapon for her to be able to defend herself, since she was telling everyone who would listen that Bob was aggressive towards her. But he maintained that he was not there that night and that he couldn't have been there because he was allegedly caring for a sick animal on his family farm. Or whatever. 5 days after the murder, Robert's funeral took place, and it was a big thing. The whole fire brigade and firefighters from all over Texas showed up to pay their respects to Robert. One person who wasn't there was Chacey, as the morning after his death, she was arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. Michael Garza was awaiting his trial in jail as well, and his trial date came first. It started on July the 10th of 2018 and lasted only 10 days. On the 20th, he was sentenced to 99 years in prison. Almost a year later, on June 17, 2019, Chacey was walking the walk of shame towards the courtroom. Her hair was dyed brown, she was looking down towards her feet, and she cried when 10 days later she heard her guilty verdict pronounced. She was sentenced to life in jail with the possibility of parole in 30 years. She appealed, of course, but her verdict was maintained and now she is serving her sentence until who knows when. She'll be at least 60 when she gets out. If she gets out. So, yeah. Her young daughter lives in shared custody between her grandparents on her mother's side and those on her father's side.
Are your tears now tears of what you did to your own life or tears of what you did to him?
It's both.
If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. It would greatly help the channel. And if you haven't subscribed, well, what are you waiting for? We're trying to get to 1,000 here, so help a girl out. Click on that subscribe button and go right on over to that Rhonda Castro video that I was talking about. Should check it out. All right, so I will see you in the next one. Bye.